I represent the 12th district, which is the neighbor of the 11th district. And the extent of my involvement in this whole process is that when the labor and delivery closed down, Montefiore Wakefield is in my district, and we had to take in some of the overflow that was occurring. When I got stories of babies being born in the emergency room, that raised an alarm for me. But I want to know, I'm going to go back to some of the hiring practices that I'm hearing. Dr. Zinnerman, you mentioned that, as soon as you came on, you brought your resources in, got a few doctors right on board. As I heard the question asked from Doctors Council as they asked you about the process, how it laid out, have you included them? Because it sounded like they weren't included in the doctors that you hired. So is there a plan to include Doctors Councils to help you with the hiring process, as well as Neisner, and making sure that we're not just going into journals, but since you have Neisner here, how are they going to be a part of hiring nurses? Because they have a pool of nurses that we can just say, here you go. How does that work, and how does it work out for 420, who will be managing the rest of the hospital that work in 1199? How is the union going to be part of that whole collaboration and making sure that the staffing they're part of the staffing from the beginning all the way to the doors open?
So the answer to your first question is no. So I have not felt the need, nor I've had a meeting with them, but if I were to ask the question, what can you do to identify physicians for me to hire, or what can you do to help me retain physicians, which would be a subsequent question. I'm not sure about that, but I do hope to work closely together with them. I got going before I knew there was a Doctors Council, because I got going in 90 days. When I signed the job, I got going. I was working in Boston, identifying people who I thought would be great, who were local, and who would come here, and very senior, mid-50s, really great people. So I just got going right away, because I knew it would be hard to do. Over time, though, I've trained a generation in university hospitals, and I'm reaching out to some of them, and some of them are saying yes, because they understand that the mission of this hospital is different than the rat race of private practice that they're in, and they're coming here for really the right reasons, actually. So I haven't really reached out for help in that regard, because I'm on it, and it's going to happen, and I'll probably be first in line, except my credentialing can be 6 months until they're ready to go. I don't see that, but certainly I'll take all the help I can get in retaining, and I'll take, if they would call me with a candidate, I would interview the candidate. So I'm not sure that they've done that to date, but I'm open to it for sure.
You heard that, Neisner? These Doctors Council, you heard that he's open to recommendations, so that might help speed along the process. If you're saying it takes months and months to get someone approved who might apply online or read the New York Times.
And when it comes to midwives, I've actually looked to my midwives. I have 2 midwife leaders that are over the top great. One in Jacoby and one here historically, although they're working in both places now. So I've looked to midwives, and I've done that in the past, and in my former place, home of the Red Sox. And it has worked quite well, because I have faith in these women to find the right people. And I think that's going to go along also. And we will need help with PAs. Any of you who have great candidates who can help us, any of your neighbors who's a great candidate who might come back here and work with us or was here, please let us know. I signed in with my email. You just email me. I don't think you necessarily have to go around to get to me. And just reach out to me, and I will make contact with those people and see what we can do.
And just 2 things finally quickly. Communication seems to be one of the #1 priorities with the community, knowing at the end of the day, it's going to be the community that's going to be coming and utilizing these services and making sure that everything works. I know, Ms. Brown, you answered the question perfectly as far as regular scheduled meetings, because we don't want meetings to a meeting for a meeting just to have a meeting, but we want meetings to be meaningful with information. So I'm just asking you all to continue to work with the community. We all are on the same page to making sure that we open this up the right way with the proper resources, the proper staffing, the proper funding, and you have our commitment from the City Council that we'll do all we can to be on the right side of this conversation. So yes, we got to plug in the trust, but it's going to have to go both ways too. And I don't want us to keep throwing rocks at each other every time we get in the room, because that doesn't hurt. It doesn't help us move forward at all. So I'm going to say thank you again. I'm going to say to you, Mr. Walsh, you know, was a football man, you know, Walsh, who coached the 49ers. He did a good job. Now it's your turn to organize and make sure this team does well and win the championship and deliver on our labor delivery. Can we do that? All right. God bless. Thank you.